at the same time speak my truth in Jesus' name, because I know this journey you've taken me on is not in vain. What's up, guys? It's your girl Kaylanae, back with another video. Welcome to my channel, guys. If this is your first time ever watching my YouTube channel, thank you so much for clicking on this link, and make sure you subscribe to my channel to get all updates for brand new videos. Every single week I post on this channel, so hit that bell so you get all notifications every single time I post. And with that being said, guys, we're gonna get straight into this video. So today I am discussing and sharing my story with you guys. And if you've been following me for a long time, you know that I'm very transparent about my life, and I'm very open to sharing my experiences with other people, because I believe that, you know, everybody goes through things in life, and when you share your story, you never know who you can help. And so with that being said, I decided to just open up about my journey pursuing my music career from beginning to right now, where I'm at right now. I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who follows me and has been following me for years. I mean, from Jersey to Atlanta to now LA. I truly appreciate you guys' support. It means everything to me, and I appreciate everybody that's been clicking on my other page, my brand new page, Kaylanae.life. That is my new fitness brand, my health and wellness page that I just started on January 9th. So thank you so much for your support on that, guys. I truly appreciate it. Like, you have no idea. Your support means everything to me. I just want to go ahead and get started from the beginning. You know, there's some things, if you watch my vlogs, there's some things you probably already gonna know, because you know, you heard like bits and pieces from other vlogs and videos that I've done. But I'm just gonna I'm not gonna leave anything out. I'm just gonna go from beginning to end. Some things I am gonna leave out because I don't want to just put people out there that just don't have good morals. I mean, that's on them, that's on their conscience. You know, God bless everybody. I don't have any kind of animosity towards anybody. It is what it is. You know, it's life, and you know, I believe whatever bad you do to people, you get it back. So it's just like, we're gonna start this off on a positive note. You know, like I said, this is not a video to bash anybody. This is just my story. So okay, guys, so this is for all my dream chasers out there who, you know, love music like me, who has a passion for music like me, and you've either moved to another state to pursue it, or you're thinking about moving to another state and pursuing it. This video is for you, because I'm going to share with you all my transitions and making those decisions and how everything really happened. So this is the truth, okay? So this is my truth. Unfiltered. I started from the beginning. I grew up in church. That's how I started singing. I was in the youth choir since I was probably like 5 years old. I always sang in church, and I started writing songs when I was 9 years old. Gospel songs I used to write. I remember my first song I ever wrote was called Jesus, I Love You So Much. And I sang it in church with my cousin Dominique, and we used to sing together all the time. And basically, we used to sing in church together, her and I. And Dominique was my best friend growing up. She's my first cousin, but like, she was my first best friend ever in life. And so we used to sing together in church and stuff like that. And we used to like make up dances. Singing and dancing was like our hobby. So I always knew that I loved music, but I didn't know what a passion was at that age. You know, when you're 9, you don't know, oh, I'm passionate. Like, you don't know yourself yet, right? So long story short, I just remember just writing songs as like a hobby. And I remember for the first time, like growing up, I wasn't really allowed to listen to secular music. It was the only secular music I listened to was basically Michael Jackson and like the Donna Summer's Christmas album and the Jackson 5 and like, you know, Sade. Like my dad would play Sade and stuff like that. But for the most part, I was not allowed to listen to secular music. So I remember just going over like to my cousins' houses and stuff like, and they would be watching music videos. And I remember the very first time I heard Aaliyah on the radio, her song, I think it was Rock the Boat or Back and Forth. It was either one of those. And yeah, I just remember, actually I think it was One in a Million. It was one of her songs, one of her mainstream songs that was playing on the radio, and I saw her music video for it, and I just instantly was like, who is this girl, you know? So Aaliyah was like my #1 inspiration because like I was a tomboy. I played sports growing up. I was very active, basketball, dance team, cheerleader. I was always like active. So when I saw her, like her tomboyish wear, I was like, because I was a tomboy, she just gravitated towards me. Like her beauty, her style, her music, it all just gravitated towards me. She was totally relatable. And yeah, I was like, oh, she can sing, she can dance, I want to do that. So I used to just sing in my room like all the time, like learn songs and just sing them in my room. My parents bought me this karaoke machine when I was a kid, and I used to always just sing songs. So that's what I always remember as a kid, me always singing in my room, always singing in church. Like that was my whole like childhood outside of sports, you know. It was just a hobby. When I graduated from like middle school, I went to this technical high school where I had to choose a trade, and I chose cosmetology because they didn't have music at the time. And I remember YouTube came out when I was in high school, and as I was taking these cosmetology classes, I knew it wasn't my passion, and I was just like, yeah, I'm just gonna do this just to graduate, but it wasn't my passion, you know. I made a YouTube page, and I used to post little cover videos on YouTube and MySpace. And yeah, I just loved doing that for a little bit. And then I remember my mom, she heard me singing in my room one time, and basically she was just like, she knew this coworker at her job that owned a studio, because there were no studios like where I'm from. Like doing the music where I'm from is like very rare. So it's just like nobody had like studios like that. And the only like major producer that came out where I'm from is Rodney Jerkins. Rodney Jerkins is from Pleasantville, New Jersey. So that's the closest thing, but I don't think he lived in Jersey anymore. Maybe he does, I don't know. But at the time, I don't think he lived in Jersey. So I remember my cousin found out that I could sing, and he invited me to the studio. My cousin Brian invited me to the studio, and I sang the hook on one of his friend's songs called, what was that song called? All I Need. And yeah, I sang the hook on that song, and I just fell in love with the studio. I was my first time ever recording in the studio, and I was like, okay, I really like this. So then, yeah, mind you, I'm 16, so like I'm just experimenting. My mom, she got me in the studio with Jose, and I started like recording like little demo songs. And yeah, it was like I was such a rookie at songwriting. But like, yeah, I recorded like a few songs over there. I just knew that like I loved it, you know, like it made me excited and happy. Like I felt passionate about it. So that's when my school had a talent show, and I basically signed up for the talent show. I got like a standing ovation from my peers. Like I sang Hero by Mariah Carey, and yeah, like everybody was just clapping and like telling me I'm a star, and you know, and like I should pursue a career in music like seriously. And that's when I got that confirmation, and I was just like, I'm really gonna do this, because like I don't know, I kind of doubted myself as a kid, because I'm like, nobody does music, like nobody, like pursuing a music career where I'm from, it's just like unheard of, you know, because it's like an itty bitty town, population of like 2,000 people. Like I come from a really small town, so to make it in the music industry where I'm from is just like unheard of. So yeah, but after getting that confirmation from my peers, I was just like, I'm gonna try to really pursue this. So I remember I saw an ad for America's Got Talent, and I saw they were having auditions in New York. So I asked my mom, I was like, Mom, can you drive me to New York to do this show? So she said yes. So my mom was, you know, my #1 fan. So basically, she drove me to New York with my cousin and her boyfriend, and I auditioned. I sang Hero by Mariah Carey again. And I had a good audition, you know, but I just think that like that show at that time wasn't really looking for teenage singers. I think because when I watched it, it was more so like contortionist and like fire flaming objects and stuff like that. Like, it was like crazy other kind of talent. It wasn't like a singing talent. And the singers that were on that season were like little kids. So I just think they were looking for something different that season. But I don't regret it. I'm so happy that I did it because that gave me more confidence to keep pursuing it, you know. And so I was about to graduate high school. I was a senior and I was thinking about college, and I remember like my options were always being something with kids, like a pediatric nurse or like a teacher, like a music teacher or something like that, because I always loved kids and I love music. So, but like my credentials were mainly cosmetology, so I got accepted to a music school in North Jersey. The college was called Bloomfield College. I actually went up there and spent like a weekend up there, like, you know, and basically my dad didn't feel comfortable me staying in North Jersey at 17 by myself. So I was gonna study music there, but I didn't end up going there. So I ended up staying home. My dad bought me my car, and basically he was like, you're gonna stay home for 2 years and you can transfer and do your thing from there, because I would be 19, you know, a little older. I stayed home and I asked my parents if I could study music as my major at Cumberland County College. And so at first they were hesitant. Well, my dad was hesitant, but you know, he let me study it. So basically I studied music at CCC and I loved it. I learned about reading music, writing music, the history of music. And my plan was to do 2 years there and then transfer to a performing arts college called Five Towns College in New York. That was my plan. Like, I was so obsessed with that school. I was like, oh my gosh, they have music studios on campus. Like, I can record my demo while I'm, you know, doing my classes. And like, I just had this whole plan what I was gonna do. So basically, I remember registering for my classes, right? I'm 17. And I go up to the college, and basically like this guy, he's like this talent scout passing out flyers, and he was just like, and I saw it and I was like, oh, is this for like singers? And he was like, yeah, like it's a talent show, it's a cash prize, DJ so-and-so is gonna be there. And I was like, oh, okay, like I'm a singer. So he was like, well, actually today's like the last day you can audition. And I was like, really? And he was just like, yeah. So he was like, but you know, if you sing right now, if I call him and you sing right now, we can get you a spot. So he called the guy on speaker and I sang. I think I sung Love, Knock You Down by Carrie Hilson and Neo. Like, I sang that. I never thought I'd be in love like this. I sang that. And he was like, okay, we're gonna get you on. So I said, okay, cool. So he was like, well, you gotta come fill out the paperwork at my office so you can meet like the owner or something like that. I'm like, okay. So I follow him to this office, this building, and we get in the building. He double locks the door, and it's like I got chills when he did that. Like I just knew something was wrong. So he was like, oh yeah, so I need the cash payments. I think it was like $20 I had to pay him. So I basically was just like, oh, my money's in the car. Like, and I just acted very calm, and I was like, I was trying to get out that situation ASAP. He let me go, and I got in the car and I drove off so fast, guys. And keep in mind, I'm 17, so I was very naive. You know, I just didn't know, and God saved me in that situation, because it came out a year later he was basically a predator. He had done this multiple times, doing casting and calls for models in the area for teenage girls, and like, yeah, so he actually went to jail for sexual assault and all that stuff. So like, thank God that didn't happen to me. Like, nothing happened to me, but I feel bad for the girls that was exposed to that, because no girl should have to go through that, especially as a teenager, you know, because we were young, we're babies, we don't know any better. Especially where we're from, it's like very country and like small, so you don't really think of things happening like that. Where I'm from, it's just like, you know, fake casting calls, and it's crazy. But yeah, so that was my first, I guess, experience dealing with a fake talent agent or whatever, yeah, when I was 17. So yeah, but I didn't let that shake me up. I still was focused on my music. I was like, my plan is to record my first demo. And this is back when record labels, you know, received demo tapes and stuff like that. So I was like planning on sending it to labels. I had this whole plan, y'all. So that was my thing. I basically would be on campus, like writing songs for it. And yeah, and then in the meantime, so I'm 18 years old at this point, and I go to this MLK breakfast. My cousin, you know, she got invited to this MLK breakfast from her high school, and so I went with her, and it was like this motivational speech that happened, and it was very inspiring. It was like this father and son duo. They're basically talking about their life and how they changed their life around, and they just wanted to make an impact on the youth. And that really like appealed to me, because I've always wanted to like be a part of like a positive like movement, a positive team. Because growing up in school, I was on like DARE and peer leadership and like all these, I was always involved. That really like intrigued me. So I reached out to them on MySpace, and I was just like, hey, like, you guys are very inspirational, like how can I be a part, you know? And basically they wrote me back, and they were like, yeah, they had this entertainment component where they would speak at schools and perform. So basically I met up with them, and they asked me what I wanted to do, and I told them I'm a singer. And yeah, so basically I joined the team. The father became my manager, and I ended up dating the son for 4 years. Immediately I started artist development with them. My ex-boyfriend at that time, we both were 18, we're babies, and we're both just, you know, developing our crafts, you know. So we would have like writing sessions, like he would critique me performing and like doing interviews, and like he helped me with my stage presence. Like he was a very like vital part of my life back then, and so he helped me develop as an artist. And we would go to schools, like elementary schools, middle schools, high schools, tension centers. We had like community events. Like we were very involved in South Jersey, and it spread to Philly, and we started traveling, and like it was just amazing. Honestly, it was just, we're always involved with the community and the youth. Like my whole life changed because I was in school for music, and then my dad, you know, told me I had to switch my major because he didn't want me to study music anymore. So I switched to business management because I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. So I thought, okay, I could learn some skills from the business classes. And so for when I start my own business and brand, my manager, he was talking about moving to Atlanta, and like I wanted to go, but I was in school, and then he was like, you know, so I had to make a decision on whether I was going to stay in school or if I was gonna go to Atlanta. I've always wanted to live like that college experience. Like when the 2 years was up at CCC, I planned on transferring to the Performing Arts College in New York. That was my plan, but I sacrificed that dream of like living on campus, living the college experience, to moving to Atlanta. I had to make that decision. Yeah, I have no regrets about it, but it's just, you know, it is what it is. I moved to Atlanta when I was 20 years old. But right before I moved to Atlanta, we actually got on a school tour in Philadelphia. And I remember meeting Yaz for the first time. Yaz was like 16 at the time. And if you guys don't know who Yaz is, if you know the show Empire, he played Hakeem. His real name is Bryshire Gray. But I remember the first time I met Yaz, like I knew he was a star. Like people literally, all the kids at the schools, all the students, they literally loved him. Like he just had this like star appeal. He did. Like he just had it, you know. And so when I saw that he was on Empire, I was just like, wow, like that's amazing. Like it's amazing to like see people's growth, and like to see him like in Hollywood and like this star, you know, like with Will Smith. It's just crazy. But I'm like so proud of him, you know. But at the same time, you know, I'm praying for him because I see, you know, how things kind of unraveled. Pray he's doing okay. Yaz is very talented, very, very talented. We basically did school tours with Yaz, and that was a couple months before we moved to Atlanta. We moved to Atlanta in 2012. We didn't have a solid plan or anything. Like I remember we moved there and we didn't have a solid place to stay. We stayed with this stylist for like a few days, and then we moved into Douglasville, Georgia. And we rented out this house and for the summer. And then like after that, I remember, because I got into a car accident and I got like $12,000 from it. And I bought like my car for $7,000, and then the rest I kind of was saving for Atlanta. So like I had money saved for us. And yeah, so I moved us to Atlanta. We got to our first place. Like, it was me, my ex-boyfriend, and his father. We moved in with Young Dirty Bastard's manager. And we were renting that house for a little bit. And we got on a school tour with Hot 107.9. So basically, we're doing a lot of motivational speaking about anti-bullying, anti-gangs, anti-drugs. And I remember being on that school tour we were on that school tour for 2 years. That was like my life, literally for 2 years. So the panel was me, my ex-boyfriend, his father, Steve Harvey's daughter, Brandy Harvey. We had a couple lawyers on there, Shay, and also Attorney Griggs. Attorney Griggs represented the parents of, I think, Jocelyn. Yeah, the R. Kelly case. And he's just done amazing things in the community in Atlanta. Like, he's just amazing. Also, DJ Jalion Sound from Hot 107.9. We were on a panel with some pretty amazing people. And it was the same school tour that Jacquees and Issa did in Atlanta. And they got like a pretty big fan base from it. And yeah, so yeah, the goal was to make an impact on the youth in the community. That was like the roughest years though of my life, like honestly. Like, we went through a lot of adversity, a lot of struggle, and it's so crazy because like when I think back on it, it's like the students thought we were superstars. Like, we were signing autographs, they were screaming, like it was crazy, but like we were struggling. That was basically my life, being a motivational speaker, speaking at schools and stuff like that, and traveling. And I remember we got on another school tour in Macon, Georgia, and that radio station, DJ Swin, DJ Rain, we met them. We were speaking at high schools in Macon, Georgia, and we ended up signing like a co-management deal, but it didn't work out. I think I was only signed to her for like 6 months or less. Like, it just wasn't the right situation. Like, motivational speaking became my life, like literally from 18 until I was like 22. And I just started like growing up and maturing. You know how like 18, 19, 20, 21, I'm growing up, you know, and I'm just realizing that like the whole point of me being a part of this organization, even though I love what I do, I love the fact that I make an impact on the students, I wanted to do music, you know, like I wanted to write and like put my music out there, and that wasn't happening. And at the same time, the relationship wasn't working out. I wasn't happy. I just felt like I lost myself in like the world of like motivational speaking. I just felt like I needed to find myself. I needed to find my identity by myself, because literally my whole world was wrapped around my ex-boyfriend and his father, you know, literally. And I just needed freedom, I needed space, I needed time to find myself. It just wasn't working for me. And at the same time, if people weren't pulling their weight financially, it just didn't work out. I was just raised a certain way. Like, my dad has always treated my mom a certain way, and I just realized I wasn't being treated that way, and I wasn't gonna settle, you know, because I'm like, my dad treats my mom very well. I wasn't being treated like that in that relationship. So I decided to break up and go my own separate way, go solo. Just that whole situation, I just had to distance myself, because yeah, like it's a lot that I won't say, but it's just, you know, because I'm at peace with it, and you know, I wish them the best and everything. But at the time, I knew that I needed to go my own way. I went solo, and I decided to go to bartending school. And because I watched this movie called Coyote Ugly, it's about this girl from Jersey who is a songwriter. Her dream is to get placements, and she moves to New York, and she basically meets these girls that are like bartenders / dancers, and they make a lot of money bartending. And yeah, so basically she reaches her dream by going to New York and like becoming a bartender, and she ends up making her dreams come true. I was like, ooh, like I'm gonna move to a major city and I'm gonna bartend to support myself, because I saw how much money they were making. I was like, I'm gonna be independent artist. I'm gonna provide for myself. I'm gonna put my music out, and I'm gonna meet the right people. I'm gonna network. So I was 21 when I went to bartending school, but then when I finally left, I was 22. I was just on my hustle basically like the whole entire time. I've always kept a job. That's one thing about me. I've been working since I was 14 years old. I truly value like independence. Like I'm very big on that. I don't know why. It's just I always have to have my own freedom. That's very important to me. And it's not on some like feminist type stuff. I just value my independence and I value my freedom as a woman. My first bartending job that I got was at Gladys Knight Chicken and Waffles in the ATL. And I remember meeting Jomo Hankerson, because Shanga, who is Gladys Knight's son, it was his restaurant. Jomo Hankerson was like one of the managers. So I remember like at the time I had put out a song, my very first song on all streaming platforms. It was called Break Free. He asked to hear it because I told him I was a singer, and I remember playing it for him, and he was like, he really liked the song. So I remember like we had like events there all the time, and I met like Jazzy Faye and like different people in the industry. And before that, like when I was on tour with Hot 107.9, I was meeting like music execs back then. On school tours was my very first introduction to the music industry, because I was on tour with the radio stations. And yeah, but fast forward, when I started working at Gladys, like I was also meeting a lot of celebrities there as well. Basically, I met my big bro, Vince Santana. I love you, big bro. And he wanted to manage me. Jomo actually offered me a publishing deal as a songwriter at Blackground Records. I didn't end up taking that deal, but I was just like, the next best thing was my bro, because they were close. Like Jomo and Vince were very cool. Vince was just like, I want to be your manager. And I was like, okay. He got me in the studio with Black Elvis. So I started working with Black Elvis. I used to go to the studio every single day and would just watch him make beats and like work with other artists. And made me like a few beats, and like I started writing to them, and that situation didn't pan out. I ended up writing one of my first songs for my first project to one of his beats. So everything happens for a reason, because I started writing for Heart of a Leo and my very first project during that time. And so I was doing a lot of writing. Black Elvis produced Ego by Beyonce, Promise by Sierra. So in the midst of like that, me writing for Heart of a Leo, someone introduced me to this producer named Black. And so I ended up going to the studio with him, and basically he played me one of his beats, and I was just like, yes. I told him my situation, like my budget, and he worked with my budget, and we ended up working together and creating my very first project, Heart of a Leo. Yes, that's my baby. I forgot, rewind, there's one more situation. So after being in the studio with Black Elvis, someone reached out to me to work with me on Instagram, and it was basically another management situation. I had knew him back from Jersey, and he was just like, oh, like, are you independent? And I was like, yeah, I'm independent. Like, I'm not with my old management anymore. And he was like, well, I want to like work with you and like help you with your career. And I was like, okay. He wanted me to write like my own lyrics to like songs that are already like out, like mainstream, and record them and shoot like music videos. That was what he wanted us to do. So yeah, I remember going to the studio. I chose like Maroon 5, She Will Be Loved, and I like wrote my own lyrics to it, and went to the studio and we recorded it, and we actually shot like a music video to it and everything. And then he presented me with this contract, and I read the contract, and because like I know a lot about contracts, the contract was like he will own like my name, my likeness, and I just didn't agree with that, because I'm like, at the time I was considered K-Star, and I had built that brand since I was 18. So I was just like, you know, it's not fair for him to own like my name and likeness from signing this contract. So I asked him to change it, and he never changed it. So I didn't sign with him, and I said no again to another situation. So in the meantime, I started working with that producer, and producer Black, and we're creating Heart of a Leo. It took us about, what, 6 months to like create that whole entire project, and I was so happy when that came out, like my very first baby. It was about like real songs about my life that I was really going through, and like it really spoke my truth. And when that came out, I was just so happy. That came out February 14th, 2016. And when that came out, I just was networking. Like I was going out, like passing out flyers and CDs and like selling them for $5 at the airport, selling them. So I used to work at the airport back then. And I would just sell them on the street. And I remember I was at 255 on Peter Street in ATO, and I met T.I.'s manager with my friend. Me and my friend was, you know, she was helping me passing them out. And I didn't know who he was at first, but he was just like, yeah, like his name is Clay. And he was just like, oh, can I get a copy? And I was like, yeah, it's $5. And then he was like, do you know who I am? I'm like, no, I didn't know. And then he was like, I can get your song played. And I was like, really? And he's like, yeah, I'm going to Magic City tonight. Like, get your song played. So he was like, which one is like the best song? And I was like, at the time I was doing pop EDM music, and the only song that would that was up tempo that would kind of fit is like Selfie. And Selfie is so innocent. Like if you guys go back and listen to my first project, Heart of a Leo, it's so innocent. Like it's very clean, it's like very like young, you know. But at the time I was like Selfies. And I remember like I got invited to B.O.B's like listening party. So like I met B.O.B. I was just networking and just meeting all different kinds of like people and artists in the industry. Like, and I remember I met Neo when I used to work at the airport. I told y'all this story already, but like, yeah, Neo's like one of my favorite artists, and since I was like 14 years old, from In My Own Words, that's like still one of my favorite albums of all time. Like I still listen to that like it just came out. But yeah, Neo like gave me his email address and told me to send him my project. But like I just wasn't confident in it. Like I didn't think it was just like, oh, like it's Neo. So like I didn't really think Heart of a Leo was, you know. And I was like, oh, I'll just save it for like another time. Like when I create a project that I feel like is up to par with Neo, then I'll send it to him. So, but it was just amazing to like meet him too. So DJ Swin, he was having this competition that year, and to get your song played on radio, like the fans have to like vote and stuff like that. So yeah, my song Selfie won like a couple times. It was played on radio, so that was my first time ever getting like spins on radio. Shout out to DJ Swin. And yeah, so basically those were like my accomplishments from Heart of a Leo. And I started shooting my docu-series, which is a 10 music video docu-series that's on this channel. And I basically want to create visuals about like my life and chronological order, about like when I moved from Jersey and everything that I went through in Atlanta, like with the relationship, with my life, like just everything, things I was going through personally. I just wanted to let you in on it, so that's why I created it. In the middle of shooting these music videos, because I was hustling hard to pay for studio time, you know, wardrobe, hair, makeup, video shoots, like photography, everything. Like I was paying for everything, so I was working like 2 to 3 jobs, like trying to finance all this stuff. So I was really grinding, like, and like I've always been grinding. That's one thing about me. I've always got my own money. I've always like invested into all my projects by myself. So in the meantime of me, you know, shooting these music videos, because it took some time to do all of them, because like I said, I had to finance everything, so that took time. I ended up moving in to my big bro's condo in Buckhead, and he took me in with open arms, and I just truly appreciate it. I hit like a rock bottom moment. Like I hit rock bottom for real.